In this problem, it says a formal hypothesis test is to be conducted to test the claim that the wait times at the Space Mountain ride in Walt Disney World would have a mean equal to 46 minutes. And we want to start by finding the null and alternative hypotheses. So I have that shown here, but how do we determine what the null and alternative hypotheses are? So we are looking at the claim that says that the mean is equal to 46 minutes. So we start by stating that the null hypothesis is that mu is equal to 46 minutes. And that is the claim. And I like to determine right away which is the claim and which is the not the claim. And our alternative hypothesis is that mu is not equal to 46 because we don't have any indication that it would be higher or lower than 46. So we just say not equal to, and we do a two-tailed test here. So in part C, it says, what are the possible conclusions that can be made about the null hypothesis? So what we want to keep in mind is when we are forming our conclusion, it has to be about the null hypothesis. So anything that involves the alternative hypothesis, I'm going to not use those. So that's definitely incorrect. And we never accept the null hypothesis. So that one is out as well. And so the only possibilities are to reject the null hypothesis or to not reject the null hypothesis. And the author tends to say fail to reject the null hypothesis. So that's what we're going to choose for that. And then in part D, it says, is it possible to conclude that there is sufficient evidence to support the claim that the mean wait time is equal to 46 minutes? So when the claim is the null hypothesis, then I always want to use the word reject in my final statement. So if the alternative hypothesis had been the claim, I would use the word support, but since the null hypothesis is the claim, that's when I use reject. So null hypothesis is the claim. I say reject. And if the alternative is the claim, that's when I use the word support. So since the null hypothesis was the claim here, we certainly do not want to say support. We want to say something about reject. So yes is not the correct answer. And so then we have three choices of no. And we want to choose the one that says hypothesis test can only find sufficient evidence to support a claim when the claim does not include equality because the claim is the alternative hypothesis. So that's the only reason I would use the word support, is if the claim was the alternative hypothesis, which most often it is. So we would usually use a statement about support simply because the alternative hypothesis tends to be the claim more often. And so that is how you would do that problem.